Hey, Mitch,
Oh, hey, Ed. What's going on?
help me take this mask off.
Oh, man, I get it. We're going to do the Return of the Jedi show. That's perfect, buddy.
No, no, no. Help me take this mask off.
Yeah, I remember the scene. It was cool.
No, no, no. I can't breathe. Help me take this mask off.
Oh, hold on. Let's just start the show.
Hi, this is Ed Dollister,
And this is Mitch Halleck.
and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. If it's your first time here, thanks so much for joining us. If you are a regular viewer, and I must say thanks to all our new subscribers, we're getting up there, which is fantastic. Thanks for coming back. It's been a little while since our last episode, if you're watching this chronologically, but if you want to find out a little bit more about us and our shows, what can you do, Mitch?
Oh, Ed, it is easy as jumping into a sarlacc pit and being digested for over 1,000 years. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button below, and you will be subscribed to the Mitch and Ed Excellent Adventure Show. The name is long, but we have a lot of good stuff in it. And hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified. I'm sorry, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go on another adventure. Where are we going today, Ed?
We're going to 1983 and Return of the Jedi, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. We've done we do Star Wars? I think we've done only the Star Wars holiday.
We only did the
specials.
Empire Strikes Back, and then we did a look back at the Star Wars merchandise. Well, we never did Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, there's a
How'd
little
that
bit of a
happen?
faux pas. That's all right. But we
Yeah.
are doing Return of the Jedi today, and we're going to be having a quick look at the history, some of the trivia as well, and our recollections of seeing it in theaters. Before I ask that question, I'm going to my trusty rating the movies,
Oh,
home video and TV. And just apologies if we are a little bit rusty, because our last show was together in
about a
in
month
Los
ago.
Angeles. So we're back in our home countries again. Well, you never left your home country, did you?
I never left it.
No.
Well, I went to California.
Well, that's true. That's not your home.
Then I went to Florida. Then I
That's
went
true.
to DC. Yeah.
All right, Return of the Jedi. Let's see what this says from here. George Lucas's third chapter in the Star Wars saga offers the expected array of colorful, spectacular effects and novel space creatures, including some we haven't met before. The elaborate space opera also answers a lot of questions about Luke Skywalker's relationship with Darth Vader and Princess Leia. But alas, the honeymoon is over, and familiarity has dulled the shine of this sci-fi extravaganza. It suffers from anticlimactic sequelitis.
What?
3 stars.
Out of 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Well, you know what? I was
What?
thinking about this. The climax of this film is the first time I think I've ever seen that 3-pronged sort of finale where there's 3 different things happening, all
the editing,
converging
yeah.
together.
Yeah. Well, no, he did on the first one, it was the attack on the Death Star. The second one, it was the escape from Cloud City and the duel with Vader. And then this one was the space battle, the duel with Darth Vader, and the Ewok battle. So he had 3. And then actually he goes to 4 in Phantom Menace because he's got Padme trying to get into the thing, Qui-Gon fighting Obi-Wan, Anakin up on the spaceship attacking the droid attack thing, and then Jar Jar below. So Lucas
Okay.
has been he likes adding more and more, and then I don't know what happened in number.
I never thought.
But anyway,
of that.
yes,
Now,
yes, the multiple edits, the quick cuts, or whatever you want to call it, 3 storylines.
I thought that was certainly not anticlimactic. It was, what's the opposite of uncle climactic.
Well, it was Uncle Climactic, yeah.
So
Yeah.
were you there? I know I'm asking this as
Oh God,
but
yeah.
of course you were.
No, I was like everybody else that was alive back in 1980 to 83, praying to God every day that I did not die, so I didn't miss. I'm not lying. God, please make me live to see Return of the Jedi, please.
Mhm.
I gotta say, well, Revenge of the Jedi, actually. And that's what we all called it. Thank you. And that's what the poster said. I sent away my $7 to the Bantha Track Star Wars fan club, and I got it $7.
In
for
fact,
a-
that's why they couldn't call. It was going to be. I think wasn't it going to be
it was
Revenge
going
of
to be the
Khan?
Vengeance of Khan. Star Trek
Yes,
2, the
the
Vengeance
Vengeance
of
of
Khan.
Khan, and they
And they said
changed
that
it.
sounded too much like Revenge of the Jedi, so they changed it to the Wrath, like Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
And then what does Lucas do after he causes all this hullabaloo? He changes the name to Return of the Jedi and not
Well,
Revenge
because
of the Jedi.
Jedi's aren't vengeful.
They don't get revenge. Yoda says it. They don't do it. They don't do it for attack or anything like that. They use the Force for peaceful things. But the funny thing is, they had to scrap all those posters and all that merchandising. So instantaneously, that became a valuable collectible for $7. I've seen it for hundreds of dollars at this point. Revenge of the Jedi poster. Not only that, but I didn't bring it, but I have it over there. Why did I never do this for the show? I have from Variety, which is the newspaper of
Yes.
the Hollywood business, this big black cardboard fold out. It said on May 25th, 1983, the saga comes to an end, and you open it up, and it's about, I don't know, it's about 2.5 feet by 17 inches or whatever. And it says Revenge of the Jedi with that typeface and the black background. Yep. I've got 2 of them. I remember going out to the newsstand and buying 2 of these things because it's a collectible. But I still have that. But there was a lot of merchandise that was calling it Revenge of the Jedi until George Lucas did the swap. And yes, I did go see it on opening day, but you know what was worse? What? Marvel Comics released the Marvel Super Special adaptation about 2 weeks before the movie came out. There was no internet. There was a comic book that you could read that had the entire movie in it. And not only that, I was trying to avoid spoilers. The day I woke up to go take the day off from school to go see this movie, the front page of the morning newspaper, the front page had this headline, and I still have the newspaper. Luke is Leia's brother. Vader dies. That's what the headline was on the front page of the paper. So I just looked down and just like, oh, thanks. Instantaneously spoiled the entire movie. I don't know what the reporter was thinking. I don't know why it was malicious, but they actually ruined the entire Return of the Jedi before I even saw it that morning on the newspaper headline. So, there you go.
All right. Well, let me say it opened in Australia in October what? 27th. Yes.
That's my mother's birthday. But anyway, yeah.
There you go. I know she didn't come. I invited her, but she was
busy doing something back then.
That's all right. But I went with a friend of mine, Frank Hudson, who was American, who had seen it in America, and he had come back, and I sat with him, and he proceeded to explain everything to me while I'm watching it. This is where Jabba, Leia strangles Jabba. This is when and I'm going.
Thanks, buddy. I can see
we
the
both
movie.
had it ruined.
Maybe he thought you were Theater of the Blind. But you know what's funny? Before this movie came out, for months, I think like 9 months earlier, maybe even before that, they had done Ralph McQuarrie production art for what the movie was, and it was a scene of the Jabba sail barge prison. It said jail, prison ship or jail, Jabba's prison ship, and they're escaping. So my mind was already concocting all these like, what is that? Oh my God, Jabba the Hutt has this massive prison ship and Han's aboard it, and they're trying to get him out of there. So you already started coming up with plot lines. And one of the other scenes that they let out from the Ralph McQuarrie thing, I'm gonna say it was one of the space battle scenes, or was it maybe the speeder bike? And you were like, oh, the speeder bike. And then the trailer came out, and it was, the further adventures of Lando Calrissian, and they were showing all these people, and Darth Vader, and then the music started up, and a lot of quick edit cuts of a lot of people looking shocked, but there was no picture of the Emperor. I remember that was a shock to see what he looked like. Yoda dying was a bit of a shock. Obi-Wan was back in the trailer because I remember they showed Alec Guinness. So, yeah, I mean, Admiral Akbar was the big, standout, and even Max Rebo was in the trailer.
Yes.
So there was a lot of new creatures there.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I felt like they were upping the ante quite a bit.
Yeah.
With regards.
Well, you're a big Muppet guy. You love the Muppets.
I do.
So I bet you love that part of the movie.
I do, and I am I was severely disappointed with the special edition in 1997 where they got rid of Max Rebo and they put in Yuzum and got rid of Lapti Neck and put in Jedi Rocks.
Jedi
To be
Rocks.
honest.
And Sly Snoodles, they fixed the thing. See, I'm not a Muppet guy, and I thought it was too many Muppets. I thought there was just too many Gamorrean guards. That was the other image that they had done earlier.
Oh, yes.
Big guard. Again, your brains, oh my God, they're going to be these ferocious monster bad guys that they're going to have to fight, and Luke's going to fight. And then when you see them in the movie, I mean, their fingers can't even, move much. It's this rubbery thing, and the mouth kind of opens and the drool, and I guess they look good, but there was a lot of rubbery creatures in that Jabba the Hutt's thing that was
well, maybe it's good for the the
Salacious Crumb was cool. I loved him. He was my favorite.
Which one?
Salacious Crumb. I have a Salacious Crumb over there I got from Disney World. Not the one that laughs and all that, but just
that sits on your shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, he was probably my favorite of all the new Jabba. Did you like Jabba the Hutt?
I did. I mean, because I remember from the original Marvel comic where they had Jabba who looked
just a dude. It was a guy that had like weird face, like an alien, but it wasn't like
sort of like a bit like Walrus Man, but not, and everything like that.
Yeah.
And obviously we knew. I think at that point I knew that they had originally filmed.
That old guy.
What was his name? Declan. Someone.
Declan
Mulholland.
Yeah, something like that. Mulholland, yeah.
As that. So I thought he looked absolutely amazing. I thought that the Jabba's Palace was great. That wonderful. I was a bit. I think I remember being just a little disappointed with the opening of the film because it opens a bit slow. I think with Star Wars, you had the Star Destroyer, obviously that's the iconic scene. Empire, you had the same thing then with the pods going to find that. You just goes and there it is, and you're there with Jared.
At first, I didn't know that. Like, I thought that thing got blown to bits. I was like, is that like fragments of it?
Oh,
you know what bugged me about Darth Vader when he comes off the space shuttle or the Imperial shuttle?
Yeah,
is I thought his helmet was too shiny. Like it looked very plasticky. I remember just being taken out of the movie for a second. I go, wow, Darth, and his whole suit.
He just was buffed,
too bright, too shiny, where it was always a little bit, more matte painted. You know what I mean? Not matte painted, but flatter, too shiny. And I was like, ew.
Maybe that was to reflect the Empire's opulence as they moved along. Because
I do remember that being
in A New Hope, it was very rough.
It was.
But did you know?
And he sounded more James Earl Jonesy. Maybe because I knew it was James Earl Jones at that point. I was like, oh, they're not even trying anymore. So
did you know Moff Jared? Alan Rickman auditioned for that role.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well,
he didn't get it.
And the opening people weren't British, and that bugged me too. Because I always think of the Empire as British guys, even though there's Admiral Monty.
Oh, yes. Inform Lord Vader.
The code clearance, tell the Emperor or tell the commander that Lord Vader's shuttle has arrived. And I'm like, that's an American guy. What's going on there?
Awesome. Yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, they got with the success of Empire Strikes Back. George Lucas didn't come back. Irvin Kershner directed that. Originally, George Lucas wasn't going to direct Return of the Jedi, so he was looking for a few people. He wanted Steven Spielberg to direct it.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. He wanted David Cronenberg to direct it.
He wanted David Lynch.
He did. And he fell upon Richard Marquand, who saw the movie Eye of the Needle with
Donald Sutherland. Yes.
That's a really good thriller.
It is a good movie. I was going to say Kate Mulgrew, but it's not Kate Mulgrew who plays the female lead of that. But no, that's a good movie. And I saw him as the director of a Karen Allen movie. Oh, Be Still My Heart. Until September.
Okay.
Which was a Richard Marquand movie. And Karen Allen would be naked in that movie.
Oh.
Easy now. But anyway, I saw that movie. But, looking back, I heard a lot of stories about Richard Marquand that he wasn't really suited for that job because it was such a high stress job, and everything was riding on that being the third of the most successful
And
franchise.
Lucas was on set
Lucas
quite a
was
bit. He
over
was
it.
doing
Yeah. And then Lucas was about to go through a divorce at that time because he was devoting so much time and money into Return of the Jedi because, this is the big thing. You can't. Empire was huge. I mean, it was like the bar was set high. People were expecting the third one to be the greatest thing ever. And that's where he comes up with the greatest quote, like, no matter how big you make the movie, that the audience already has the film shot in their head, what they want to see, and you'll never compete with their imagination. Because there was a great PBS, public broadcasting special, Making of the Galaxy or something like that, which was on the making of Return of the Jedi. And it was like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And it was George Lucas walking through the sets. And we saw a lot of behind the scenes in the Sarlacc pit out in Yuma, Arizona. It was really well done. But a lot of it was just George Lucas talking about what happened to the characters and what happened to Luke and the journey's end. And, it's not about monsters. I remember him saying that because I don't know about you, but when they took off Vader's helmet, I was expecting, like similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3, when they showed the High Evolutionary, I was expecting this disgusting face, the eye hanging out and the face all chewed away. Because remember, we saw the back of his head in Empire, and you saw that sickly skull with the big scar on the back. I thought he was going to look like the worst thing you ever saw. And it was just this old man. I remember somebody calling him Humpty Dumpty. He just this big white egg-headed guy, and that was it. But Lucas said it's not about monsters. It wasn't supposed to be horrific. It's supposed to be about this sad, weak old man who was encased into this,
a bit like the Wizard of Oz, really, isn't it?
Wizard of Oz, yeah. It wasn't scary. It was kind of pathetic at the end. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever.
And we obviously got our heroes, Luke. Luke, Leia, Han. They weren't sure whether Harrison Ford would come back because apparently he hadn't signed. That's one of the reasons they put him in Carbonite at the end of Empire Strikes Back.
They got Lando. Yeah.
But they they obviously negotiated Han back. Harrison Ford wanted to die at the end, but George Lucas nixed the idea. I think the story says that Harrison Ford says that George didn't think they wouldn't sell a lot of dead Han action figures. So
I heard that story. I heard Ford thought if his character died, it would add more meaning to it. There'd be more depth to the character, like sacrifice, which is fine. But George Lucas wanted a happy ending because at the end of the day, it's a fairy tale meant for kids, and he didn't want to be like, let's kill everybody. Nowadays, they would have killed everybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. They wouldn't have made.
That's why when I see Han Solo die, spoiler alert, in The Force Awakens, it's like part of me just goes, oh, because if George Lucas was doing those movies, that never would have happened.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think they wanted also Luke to wander off into the sunset, just as a lone Jedi. But again, they nixed the idea, I think. I mean, I don't think
really.
And I don't think they thought they were going to be making any, even though, there was rumors that there were 6 or 9 films that Lucas had. I don't think they really had planned on making.
I think he said that to people. Even Mark Hamill was on interviews. You can see him on YouTube talking about how George was going to go back and make 20 years younger, the story of, Alec Guinness and, Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then they were going to go forward like they did and tell the story of old people. So I had heard rumors that was what's going to happen, but I had the feeling that they weren't coming back. I thought that was it. It was just a bunch of, wishful thinking that there was going to be more Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it obviously did, gangbusters at the box.
It made money. It made a lot of money.
32, cost like 32 million roughly to make, which was quite a lot compared to Star Wars, which was I think 7 million, back only 6 years earlier.
Yeah, and then Empire was like 18 or 20 or something like that.
So it made $482 million. It was like consistently number one. It was only knocked out, I think, in its 4th week at number 1 by Superman 3.
Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was a huge hit, the biggest.
Oh no, I saw it a couple times that summer. I was sad to see it go.
Sebastian Shaw, who plays
Sebastian Shaw, didn't
know what he was auditioning for, and he saw Ian McDiarmid, who he knew from theater, but he had no idea what he was doing. It was good to see Jeremy Bulloch back, of course. Warwick Davis is Wicket.
Well, that was the first time we met Warwick Davis.
Yeah, and the Ewoks, which
Which
you
is
know,
good.
I as a kid, as a
I
13-year-old
didn't mind the Ewoks. I mean, I did. Well, again, the movie in your head. I was expecting the Wookiee planet. I was expecting,
Well, that's
you
what it
know,
was originally going
they
to
were
be.
going to
I
get.
think,
I
the
thought they
ship.
would just go hire basketball players or really tall people to wear the costumes because that made more sense to me. That the stormtroopers would be taken out by these big, fierce warrior people, not little teddy bears with rocks. I was kind of like, what's going
But
on?
that's the whole Empire's deal. They
Yeah.
underestimate.
I remember the Rolling Stone review of this movie, and it said Star Wars itself, the first movie was like, primary school. And then the second one was like high school, like you were going up. And then instead of going to college for Return of the Jedi and becoming like higher education, you went to a college frat party. And it was just a bunch of drinking and crazy. And just a while. They said that's kind of what happened. You were going up and up and up, and you thought we're going somewhere, and then it just became a big crazy party thing. I mean, I still love the movie, but at the time I remember being a little felt it was a little kiddish. I was like, how old? I was like
You were
16 going
15
to
or 16.
17.
Yeah, see, I was
Yeah, and
13. I
thought
loved it.
yeah, but I was like, this is kind of juvenile. Well, I liked it more than Empire, though, to be honest with you. I'm not a big Empire fan. When it comes to Star Wars, I like Star Wars, Jedi, and then Empire because at least Jedi had more of heroics in it.
Yes.
When Luke dives off that board and then he jumps in the air and the lightsaber. Oh my god!
Oh, and with that amazing John
music.
Williams score is.
Oh yeah, I used to listen to that again and again and again, just the sound because you knew in your head like what the cuts were. It's like dint, 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 and they'd show like Han and Leia, and then he does that little salute and R2 opens the thing. Oh, that was the best part of that movie. And when he does the flip, that was it. I was like, oh, that's the Return of the Jedi, And then there's that deleted scene, which we saw years later, where they're in the desert after that and the sandstorm. That was the first thing they shot, but it was just so thick they couldn't use the footage or something like that. You've seen
That's
that.
right. And you got to see Luke constructing his lightsaber as well.
Yeah, I always thought that was odd. That if they ever went to that cut where it was supposed to be Vader in his meditation chamber talking to Luke and Luke's putting it, that really does slow it down. I don't care if there's a reason why they didn't put it in the movie because I think it would have been like, what's happening here? Too much exposition going on.
Too much exposition.
Too much exposition going on.
Yeah, I hear you. We also got we got to see Mon Mothma for the first time, and of course
Admiral Akbar,
Crix Medine
with the bad wig, which I didn't know it was a wig.
Well, did you know something else? It was a fake beard.
That I didn't know. I knew that everyone made fun of his hairpiece. I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
So he turned up on the day of filming clean shaven.
Yeah.
However, I don't know what happened, but Kenner had already made the
oh no way
with the beard, so they had to make him a fake beard.
I never understood why they didn't bring back like General Dodonna from the first movie, or maybe General Riken got killed over in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I don't know. A bit of
Wedge was back though. Wedge Antilles was there, which was cool.
Wedge was back. Piet was back, which was great.
Admiral Piet, he was one of the few people that survived. I remember that was cool to see him not get choked out.
And that amazing end battle, the sequence. So we're running out of time, but
I know, but
that battle in the Death Star, inside the Death Star, is
that was amazing.
Wonder to behold, and it's great if you haven't seen it.
Oh my god! And you know what else was the merchandise was through the roof for Return of the Jedi. I mean, even
it was
movie. Oh, I worked in a 5 and dime store in 1985. There was still merchandise. I still had like little Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt erasers and notepads, and I still have folders and pencils.
I was going to say this thanks to our Mark Hoffman here. Look at this.
I've got plastic cups upstairs with the Ewoks on them from the 83, 84. They merchandise the hell out of Return of the Jedi. Yep, I've got a lunchbox as well. Yes, sir.
Except in this lunchbox is
there's no gold. There's no silver medal for second place. That's the wrong movie.
Is
a T-shirt.
all my last 17 action
Oh, look at
figures.
you. Look at
Yeah.
that. Oh, speaking
Because-
of that,
Yeah.
I didn't. Now I collected everything for Empire Strikes Back, but for Return of the Jedi, I remember mailing away my Kenner proof of purchase seals to get my mail away Admiral Akbar,
Yeah.
and I got my Emperor Palpatine.
Yes.
It was just called the Emperor.
Well, this is an original carded
Han.
one.
Yeah.
That's the only Return of the Jedi one I've got. Still unpunched, which is good. But
I have some, and the funny thing is about the card backs. I have one over there. I can show you. They had little black squares on the Ewoks. They weren't showing those.
Yes.
I have. Yeah. They were like, don't let people see what that looks like. So
yeah,
funny,
which is really interesting. So they had there's so much. There was Atari. Oh, I should have brought things. Atari video game. They brought
oh
out.
my god! Oh, that was the best when you the Walker attack on the Hoth base when you had to
Oh,
go
that was for Empire Strikes
Parker
Back.
Brothers put it out. Yes,
yeah, but Parker Brothers brought out Return of the Jedi Death Star Battle, which I have. They also
I didn't get
there was
that
a
one.
Sarlacc board game that they brought out for
Didn't get
Return of
that.
the Jedi.
No, just got the comic books and stuff.
There was comics,
but it did do the classic things. Wait, it did the lunchbox.
Yes.
It did, what do we always say?
Trading cards.
Trading cards. Yes, it did. Oh my god, they had everything. Puzzles, board game. They had an Ewok board game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Correct, right? Yeah. Oh, they made a speeder bike like tricycle. Now, was that legit or was that a giveaway? I've seen pictures of it.
Wasn't that as part of like the Endor base, and wasn't that on a swing? I think they did too. And I actually they have it, because when I went to Rancho Obi-Wan, they have it.
He's got everything. Yes. But I saw one on the swing, like you're talking about, but I saw another one had wheels though, like a scooter.
Yes.
I don't know where that was, but
no,
you don't understand. Over here in the States, I don't know about over there, but they had cookies. You could get little Jabba the Hutt cookies. They had like chocolate and vanilla. I mean, Lucas, for Return of the Jedi, there was chocolate cookies. There was C-3PO cereal. He went to town on this thing. There was everything you can imagine. Ice cream. There was Return of the Jedi ice cream cones.
Okay, so in Australia, we had Return of the Jedi icy, we call them icy poles.
Yeah.
And they had inside Jedi jelly. And it was the most delicious thing I have ever, not jelly like you Americans call it, like jam.
Yeah.
But it was the most delicious thing ever.
Really?
It was everywhere. And like if I look on this side of my room where I just can't bring everything down, the toys, the Rancor, they made the shuttle Tidarium, which was this huge.
I know. I got the reissue of that thing. It was gigantic. Was that the biggest one they ever made? The toy?
I think it is. It's until Hasbro Pulse brought out those large
I know about that
sail barge, but it is huge and it is a great film. And I don't think we've even covered.
No, we really didn't do this movie justice. This should be like an hour-long epic, not like 20 minutes. You can't do Return of the Jedi in 20 minutes.
I know.
I mean, was there negatives about it? When I first saw it, the weird little blurry things on the side of the Emperor's eyes took me out for years. I was like, what's going on?
Because they had a light to light up his eyes.
Oh, is that what it was?
And it was shining through his cowl. And there was also, I should remember, the arcade game that was out where you had 3 stages. I think you had the speeder bike. What else was there? There was the
TIE fighter attack at the end.
Yeah, and going down the tunnel. And I never could finish that sucker.
I never finished it either. I was going to say, never, ever finished it. Years later, they did a Star Wars trilogy game where you got to sit down in with the big projection screen. And you got to do the Hoth Empire one, and you got to do the trench run. But they had the Jedi speeder bike sequence in that, and they also had the whatever you want to call it, into the Death Star or whatever.
Yep. And I should say my pinball machine, my Data East pinball machine from 1993, which does feature all 3 Star Wars movies up to that point. So trilogy. There is that. We also spoke about the fantastic score, but there was also the awesome story of Return of the Jedi, which had actual audio from the movie. And then they had the little Disney Buena Vista ones, which were actors playing not real actors, but not the original actors playing the role on the little 45 RPM records as well.
See, I didn't get that stuff because I was like,
Too
grown up.
cool?
I was
Okay, well,
16 going on 17. I didn't get those little records, but no, I wish I did because I probably would
yeah.
have spent the rest of my life chasing them down.
Yeah,
They're
well,
like
they're
I said,
pretty easy. They're pretty easy to
so
get. We got a
much.
couple of them at the shop if you're
Do
ever
you know?
interested.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was going to say, with those, there was also those great television specials that came out with the creatures. You know, the creatures.
Oh yeah,
they brought
Carrie
out.
Fisher and Billy D. Williams. Yeah, the Creature Shop stuff with they showed all the puppetry and all the yeah.
So there's no way we could cover everything in Return of the Jedi. Otherwise, this will be a 6-hour show, and
I
I
know.
just don't have the time to edit all that together. But there's plenty of stuff. Obviously, with the 40th anniversary, there's lots of
Yeah.
merchandise that they're bringing out at the moment, which has been out for a little while now. But the
Oh
best
God,
thing,
yeah. Marvel Comics has been doing a whole series of tribute covers. This is one
Mhm.
here. This is the throne room. There's Vader in there, but they have those coming out. And my good buddy Jerry Ordway, they got him to do what they call retro covers. These are supposed to look like the original
They
Return of the
do.
Jedi movie adaptations, but these are for the modern books. And then a lot of the characters that we saw in that movie, like Admiral Akbar, is getting his own series now. See, there he is in
Wow.
Rebellion. So yeah, it's 40 years ago, but they're still there like they were yesterday. And I tell you, the movie going experience, I've talked about this before. I don't know if on this show, but I remember being in a sold out theater, 12 o'clock, a school day. It was a Wednesday. I skipped school. I went to see the movie, sat next to this gentleman who had little stunted hands, didn't have arms. They were up here. And he was with this big motorcycle guy, like a big biker guy. And when they would clap, the fellow would put his hand up here and the biker guy would put his hand. So that's how the guy clapped. It was very, very, very cool. But at the end of the movie, when Luke is being fried by the Emperor with the Force lightning and he's screaming out for his father, before they added that stupid no, which I don't like at all, you don't know what's going to happen. I honestly said, Jesus, Luke going to die? I mean, you really didn't know what was going to happen. And the lightning's coming. He's like, save me, father. And the motorcycle guy leaped out of his chair, knocked his popcorn, went flying through the other popcorn. Everyone shrank back in horror because we're like, what is happening here?
Yep.
And he points at the screen and it just pointed at Vader and goes, save him, you a-hole. And the whole theater was like, ah. And at that very moment, Darth Vader reaches over as if he heard this guy and grabbed the Emperor by the neck and throws him down the chasm there at the Death Star. And everybody in the theater was screaming. I mean, there was so much applause at that thing. And the Emperor died, so we thought. He died. In my mind,
somehow.
Palpatine, Sith magic, cloning, only secrets, dark secrets of the Sith knew. Shut up. He died. Emperor Palpatine died. Okay, because when you see Yoda, and again, that wasn't in the comic book. The three ghosts coming back at the end.
Yeah.
Bo, Larry, and Curly, Jedi guys. When Luke looks up at the end of the comic book, it just says there's a nice group shot of them all sitting around singing "Yub Yub," each nub nub.
I missed that as well.
I missed that song as well. So that's how the comic ends. It says, the galaxy was saved and Luke Skywalker and everybody smiled. So I didn't know at the end, even Lucas had this plan. He's like, don't let them know everything. At the end, when the ghost showed up, oh my God, people were crying when you saw Obi-Wan and Yoda, and then all of a sudden you see a little flicker, and there comes Sebastian Shaw as Anakin Skywalker back from the dark side. And Luke does that little smile, and the best thing he does that little wink into the camera, just like Christopher Reeve did. And all, I was like, oh my God. And everybody I got goosebumps, buddy. Look at that. Hair sticking up.
I
Goosebumps.
can see.
40 years later. Cool. And that's why I do not like the special edition when he put Hayden Christensen in there, because it takes away a lot. Because I'm like, nah, man, that's not the story. Well, that's Anakin because he was that way before he turned to the dark side. So he comes back looking like that. I'm like, yeah, bull. You didn't need to know all the stories. They just were there. They were just characters. It's like, okay, there's a weird squid guy in the background. We don't know why. And then years later, you'd make up your own story about him, The Bomar monks that were crawling through the Jabba's palace, the spidery looking thing with the brain there. Years later, they would tell you what that.
I don't need to know.
Just
I
took
don't-
it for granted, I was like, hey, it's part of the movie, I don't need to know everything. And then we
A
had the
little mystery.
sequels. We had the Ewok movies that came out in
Yes.
'85. Were kind of sequels: Caravan of Courage and the Battle
Marauders
for
of Marauders of Endor or Battle for Endor?
No, I hear it's called the Battle of Endor with
I think it was
Wilford Brimley.
Was it Marauders of Endor in Australia? Because they were both in the cinemas. So yeah.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
have the movie posters for that. I do believe Drew Struzan did the movie posters.
He did.
for
I've got the Ewok
Caravan of
the
Courage.
first Caravan of Courage one. Yeah. So
Back in the day, they were on TV, so it was fine. I mean, I watch them now and I realize how like cheesy they are, but it was
yeah, the
okay.
Wickets Ewoks TV series as
He
well.
was the cartoon. Droids
Yep.
came out after this too.
Yeah.
Again, not the best cartoons, but they're okay.
They're fine. So there's lots, there's just lots, and I'm just looking around my room. There's so much Return of the Jedi stuff.
Now, which poster did you like? Now, you've heard the story that those are George Lucas's hands holding that lightsaber, right?
Really?
You never heard that?
No, I didn't.
If you read J.W. Rinsler's great book, The Making
which
of
I have.
Return of the Jedi, he shows you the photographs of that. That's George Lucas's hands holding that lightsaber.
This is the Japanese.
Yeah,
one.
but it's still the same image.
Hmm.
In fact, if you ever go to see my CT GamerCon, the first poster I used was hands clutching a controller, and it was done just like that. That was the original.
Were they
poster.
George Lucas's hands as well?
No, they were my son Owen's hands,
Oh,
and he's
there you go.
clutching a Magic the Gathering card and a Xbox controller, and it's done in that same style.
Nice.
Because I ripped it off. I don't know. It was something else, and that was it. I mean, once Return of the Jedi ended in '83, but the next year we had Temple of Doom. It was like Lucas
Ghostbusters. It just kept going.
It never ended. It never ended. We had such a good time back in the early '80s. Oh, back in my day, we had good movies, and you didn't have to go watch it on the streaming. The stream thing was something that came out of your wiener, or you didn't cross them. But yeah, that's Return of the Jedi. If you had to rank them out of all the movies over the years, it's gotten higher and higher. But now that I've seen these other movies, I'm like, there's no Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Weird.
I think just the climax is fantastic in that, just everything coming together. And you've got that amazing Sarlacc battle, which is pretty good. The speeder bike chase. Did you know that the inventor of the Steadicam actually was doing that speeder bike chase? I
thought that was the guy from the Rocky movies.
Yeah, that's correct. But
that's the same guy?
They got him to do that, yes.
I did not know that. I remember Joe Johnston showing how they did it. They just walked through the woods behind Skywalker Ranch, and then when you sped it up, I think they did it at a slow frame rate, and then it looked like you were going 300 miles an hour. It was like, it's so simple now.
Oh yeah,
looking back, no digital effects, no CGI or any of that stuff, just straight on model making. It was amazing.
Yeah, and problem solving, and how can we do that? And
how can we make this look real? Yeah.
And some of that stop animation is fantastic with the scout walkers walking through behind the tree, and there's camera movement and everything like that. It's complicated stuff they're doing. It's pretty
I can't think of any. I've never really had any problems with it. I never this is too goofy. Though the chicken walker on the logs was kind of like wonky.
What about Chewie doing the Tarzan?
Yeah, you know what I didn't like? I didn't like Chewie's new haircut in that movie. It always bugged me. He had like this weird where
it's centered and
it was like that's Chewbacca always had that slick back hair, but this one was kind of like, I don't know. Nitpicking. Yes, I didn't like Han. He looked a little bloated, looked a little chubbier than when he came out of that thing. Leia looked a little drawn out, maybe a little too much off-screen problems happening with Carrie at the time. But hey. Mark, I thought was great. I thought Mark Hamill did one of his best performances of all three movies. He was great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a great film. And you know what? I feel like I need to go out and watch it right now.
Watch it again. I didn't know Alec Guinness was wearing a hairpiece.
I never knew that. From Star Wars, I was shocked when I saw it.
Ewan McGregor blew that when he was like, "Yeah, he had a hair," and then you see that, and then once you see it, you can never unsee it. You're like, "Oh my god, it's here, and it's there, it's everywhere." It's like, what's his name from Ted Lasso?
Could you call it heir to the Empire?
Heir to look at you. On
that note, On that note, Mitch, if
Go
you
watch
want to
Return
find
of
out,
the Jedi.
if you do, hey Mitch, what can you do if you want to find out a little bit more about our Star Wars episodes or any of our pop culture episodes?
Many Bothans die to tell you how to subscribe to the Mitch and Ed Excellent Adventure. But hey, lighten up, Francis. All you got to do is hit the button below, and you'll be subscribed to Mitch and Ed's Excellent Show. Maybe it's called Excellent Show now. So when we go on another one of these,
Are we
trips and-
shortening the name of it? What's going
shortening
on?
the name. It's just going to be called Medi, Mitch and Eddie, Medi.
Medi.
And then that's it, like Return of the Medi. And
That's
you
right.
go
Okay.
and watch the show, and then we're here. That's it. You figured it out. If
all
you
right,
watch,
well-
you already know how you got here.
I know. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. This is Ed Dollister.
And this is, well, if it worked, this was Mitch Halleck. It's not on.
No, what's
saying that-
happened? What's happened?
It goes off if you don't turn it on long enough.
I've heard that.
Oh no, Jesus! Now it's on. See there. And this is Mitch Halleck.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.